You know, the longer this show, or whatever it is, goes on, the more out of date, redundant even, it becomes. I seem to say this every year, but the whole basis of Christmas wrapping is my nostalgia for a basic marketing and branding system in use by the presentation department of the BBC that was at its height 30 years ago, but it hasn't been used since at least 1997, and which is hard to talk about in any great detail because it's so extremely dull. The original idea was that I would review the aesthetic of every channel's Christmas presentation every year, leading up to the climactic Christmas ident itself. Precisely how I would do this while still having a video ready before Christmas, I'm not entirely sure, but in the event, it doesn't matter. I'm paying tribute to a tradition that no longer exists. You don't get trailer packaging anymore. Not the 3-second grabbers, and certainly not the ever-changing seasonal wallpapers they replaced. 10 seconds of intricate model work, or even 3 seconds of CG animation, is just time we don't have in this day and age. Similarly, saving the idents themselves for Christmas Eve is just insane from a marketing perspective. In the same way that the advertising space on Christmas Day itself is actually slightly less attractive than the ones in the days leading up to it. Saving yourself for a climax is great, but climaxes don't last very long compared to the build-up. Which reminds me, are there any carry-on films on this year? Anyway, the point is, trailers aren't a thing anymore, and Christmas idents start at the beginning of December. They just do. That's just how it is now. That's the system. What worked back when there were only 4 channels doesn't so much in a time when the whole concept of linear scheduled television is clearly on the way out. BBC One is pretty much the only channel left that really goes all out for a different and distinctive Christmas look every year. And that's because it's the main channel, not only in the BBC network, but arguably, at least by perception, in the nation. They're in kind of an odd place this year because the BBC rebranded itself in the autumn, in the biggest such overhaul since Lambie Nairns in 1997. Only they didn't do it very well. This is why there hasn't been a video about it, incidentally. There will, I hope, once they've actually got it done, but at the moment they've kind of half-arsed it. The new logo's pretty much bedded down, although that took long enough. But not all the new branding has been rolled out yet. The iPlayer has, although it took about a month and the app still looks the same, but BBC Sounds still hasn't. And most notably, BBC One still hasn't got a shot of oneness, after they apparently got cold feet about the quality of the idents that were supposed to replace them. There are hints as to the motif, something involving a flat cylinder and this lilac-y burgundy sort of swirly backdrop. My guess is that it's going to closely resemble the idents that oneness replaced. But we just don't know yet, and we don't know when we will. I'm hoping they'll be launched right after New Year, in the same way that the permanent oneness ones were. Either way, it's really undermined the BBC's rebrand that they've done it in so lackadaisical a fashion. In 1997, everything changed overnight. In 2021, a lot of people could be forgiven for not noticing that anything had changed at all. But we'll save that for the video on the subject that will presumably come out if they ever actually get this thing done. What about Christmas? Well, you can't go wrong with Urban Animations. There's a new Shaun the Sheep special, and the BBC ident is there, complete with variations for different times of day, and a special news-safe one just in case the Queen dies, or Russia invades Ukraine, or the plague gets worse. All very charming and amusing, and makes a change from using the latest Julia Donaldson adaptation. Kind of wishing they'd go for something that isn't either tied in with the show, or trying to tap the John Lewis mood. Such notions probably also belong to that past I was telling you about though. As indeed does the notion of having a different aesthetic every year. It still holds out on BBC One, but the other channels are all using by and large the same set they have since whenever they last refreshed their brand in general. As in 1997, BBC Two has simply adapted their current look with the new logo, and fair enough. They haven't added anything new to the rotation for Christmas though. ITV have, still using ITV Creates, It's only supposed to last a year, but popularity and plague saw it sort of roll on by default. And while they are repeating the ones from the last couple of years, they have added a couple to the rotation. This one from installation artist Marielle Osborne, featuring the logo vomiting tinsel. And this one from crazed inflatable Christos, designs in air. Lovely stuff in both cases. Channel 4, as has become usual for them, have simply gone back to the well, apart from one extra special ident to promote that year's animated treat, which happens to be an adaptation of Terry Pratchett's Abominable Snow Baby. Is it too much to ask that Channel 4 relaunch with a new set of idents using this basically as a template? You know, the big four in the middle of the screen. Seems like it's been a long damn time since they've done that. And it has. Oh, and Channel 5, as predicted, same as last year. Actually, I tell a lie, S4C tend to make the effort every year. This year they've got a rather sweet, if slightly melancholic animation featuring various animals that made the news in and around Wales over the year, including the Great Horned Goats, the Llandudno Puffins, and Wally the Walrus, who went on a massive and inexplicable European holiday this summer, taking in France, Spain, and even Cornwall.
It wouldn't be Christmas without Radio Times.
The Radio Times cover is nice, although the animation that introduced it was nicer. But it's not one that's going to live in the memory very long. They're giving it to Robin Shaw again, for like the 5th or 6th time in a row. And I've got nothing against Robin Shaw, who's a master illustrator and animator. He was the director of We're Going on a Bear Hunt, and The Tiger Who Came to Tea, and he worked on Paddington 2. It's just that there are other illustrators in the country. His spherical Father Christmas with the eerily neat beard is in danger of becoming permanently stuck on the Christmas Radio Times. There are other artists and other approaches you could use. At the very least, you could go for a dominant colour other than blue. It's been 10 years since that last happened. Thanks to Chris Oakley for pointing that out. I've long since given up on the legendary, though. They've been doing it so long it's not even obnoxious anymore. It's like a self-fulfilled prophecy. No, actually, I'm lying. It is still obnoxious, but they're obviously never going to stop, so... If it wasn't for all the additional visual noise, I'd almost prefer the TV Times cover this year, with its more Coca-Cola-styled Father Christmas. You notice they're now published by Future, the company that bought PC Zone in order to kill it. Not that I'm bitter or anything. And because Randomly made a video about it, let's look at the RTE guide, which, as has become usual, is in landscape, and this year depicts a massive crowd of people. Good luck with that. No caricatures of famous people on this one, though. Not even Pat Short. Or if they are, they're extremely generalised. Got some recently resurfaced stuff for you, all from above or near the border. From 1991, this lovely and warm, if faintly unsettling, Christmas ident from Scottish Television. And from 1998, Border Television going all out for the last Christmas with their iconic logo before another ITV generic look hurls it into the bin. But of course the real money on the other side of Hadrian's Wall is Hogmanay, and BBC Scotland have often had their own idents for that. We saw a couple last year, now here's a couple more. In 1990 they simply stuck an ad on the Cow Globe for what felt a bit like a retirement send-off as much as anything else, since it would be replaced within 6 weeks. So that was simple, but 1995 decidedly was not. An incredibly and frankly unnecessarily elaborate, vaguely pagan clock type thing, with strangely haunting, echoing, sad piano music as a bed for the announcer for some reason. Well, I think that more or less wraps it up for the year. Thanks to Chris Oakley for making the titles again, and to TV Whirl, the Ident Circle and TV Live for providing the clips, after the Ident Gallery finally definitively made it impossible. I will be back in the new year with more hard sell, probably finally that video on the BBC's rebrand, assuming they actually finish it, and towards the end of next year, a special video on 4 decades of Channel 4, and some cake. Have a happy and a safe holiday season. Remember, every Christmas is last Christmas. Oh, and even if, like me, you don't usually bother with the Queen's speech, you might want to check it out this year because it might be the series finale. See you in 22 million years.
At Grampian Television, we've got Christmas all wrapped up with a special low-cost package for Christmas advertisers in Tayside and North Fife. This package comprises 7 transmissions and production for less than £450. To get your Christmas advertising all wrapped up, contact Leslie Elrick at Grampian Television Advertising on Dundee 739149 now.